guys, and welcome to the Rant podcast. And as I promised, today we are recording another video, and our rant today is going to focus on web developer salaries. I've realized that salary is quite a huge motivating factor, and I kind of want to make a rant about it because I believe before salary or money becomes a motivator, passion should be the first thing that motivates you to join an industry. I I have a group of friends who always tell me they're not in tech, but they always tell me that there is no field that has no money. If you become a doctor, you're going to have money. If you become a nurse, you're going to make money. If you become a pilot, you're going to make money. If you become a mechanical engineer, you're still going to make money. So money isn't the motivating factor because wherever you go, as much as you are good in your skill or in whatever you're doing, money is going to always follow you. Money always follows skill. So therefore, I believe that skill should always come before money because first you need someone or you need passion to motivate you. Um, you need an internal factor to be the source of motivation rather than something external. So yes, guys, today we're going to talk about salaries because this is a huge topic, and every time I'm talking to someone, they are always much concerned about how much are you making. And just to put a disclaimer out there, as I make these rants or this particular rant, I'm not making. I'm not self. I'm sorry. I'm trying to rephrase my words. I'm not. I'm not permanently employed. Yeah? I'm a freelancer basically. So the kind of comments that I'm going to make is from a freelancer's perspective. And number two, um, I'm not. I would say that I'm an entry level developer. I'm not that skilled. So again, the comments I'm going to make, be aware that I'm making these comments as an entry level developer. So that said, let's get started. So if you see me looking at this side, I'm looking at the screen. So I've made a little bit of an outline so that I can keep my thought process organized so that I don't have to repeat myself too much. So the first thing that I want us to talk about is that the kind of money that you're going to make as a developer really depends on the kind of developer that you are. Um, Although this is not a big factor, because first of all, let me mention that there are basically two types of, basically, let me call them three. Yeah? Although you can narrow them to two. There are three types of developers. The first category of developers is the front end. These are the people who focus on what the user sees. These are the designers, the people who work with the designers to work on usability and user interface. And then we have the other category of people um, who are who are the brains behind the functionalities, who are the back-end developers. So you have front-end developers and then you have back-end developers. But again, you have this cabal, this group of people. I've seen a lot of of people saying that these are the kind of people. This group that I'm about to mention are the kind of people that are neither good in the front end and the back end, who are called front end full stack developers. So full stack developers are supposed to know back end and front end, and these are the kind of developers who are mostly attracted, who are mostly employed in startups, and startups love them mainly because they don't have a bigger budget, so they are going to employ one person, as I previously mentioned in one of our videos. that most local companies focus on employing one person who they can pay a premium fee, but that person is going to handle both front end and back end. So they eventually settle on employing a full stack development because of the budget. But that is not the point of this video. If you want to um, um, hear my thought process on that particular rant on um, why most companies in Kenya focus on mainly employing a full stack developer rather than a front end and then a back end, you can check one of the videos that I'm going to of course show here. So that said, those are the three categories of developers: the front end who focuses on what you see, the back end who focuses on the functionality, and this other cabal of people who want to focus on everything that they can be jacks of all trade. So that said, um, we can't talk about web developer salaries without, of course, mentioning how how has the demand and the supply of these skills been over time. And in this video, mainly going to use Kenya as a case scenario. So if you look at Kenya, um, beginning 2017, 2016, that is when there was a lot of demand for developers. Prior to that, IT or computer science wasn't much of a popular choice for high schoolers who are going to come to or who are joining universities. Actually, this year was the first time I had a top KCSE student, say that they are going to do computer science in campus.
Mi naomba kuwa engineer wa software engineer. Yeah.
Previously, I have never heard of a student say that I'm going to pursue IT or computer science or become a software engineer. So that shows you that software engineer is actually gaining momentum, very big momentum right now. When I was studying, when I was back in 2018, when I was joining first year, back when I was in high school, I never actually heard of software engineers. I actually only knew of people who know how. I actually knew of only cybersecurity. I never knew about software engineers. So the demand of software engineer has basically increased, and another factor that actually contributed to the increase of the demand increase is because of the COVID-19 pandemic. As much as it had a lot of economic repercussions that, of course, affected or crushed some of the economies in the world, there's a lot of benefits that came with COVID-19, and one of them is the rise of demand of software, because a lot of people couldn't go to work, and that is when services or software as a service, like products like Zoom, became more popular, because people are talking virtually. Companies wanted to interact with their what do you call them, their employees virtually. So there was a lot of demand for management systems. There was a lot of demands on automation of the HR systems. So the COVID-19 pandemic is actually one of the bigger factors that increased the demand for web developers. Another thing that came out of the COVID-19 with respect to web developers and maybe software engineers in general is because a lot of students weren't going to school. So most schools had to adopt these systems that students can learn from well at home. That is when we had the kinds of Marimu Pras, we had the kind of there's this other system, I have forgotten it. So with with such software as a service or such products came the demand of software engineers. So that is basically, and of course, with time, the technology is creating a lot of awareness, and with such an awareness, technology becomes one of the key components that is needed to facilitate this awareness. And one of such need for awareness, or one such necessity that has led to demand for software engineers, is digital marketing, because you can't call yourself a brand out there if you don't have a website. A website back then, I actually heard of this. I can't remember the. Oh, I remember the. I heard of this chick in this podcast called CTA, cleaning the airwaves. I can't actually remember her name, but he was actually sharing a story of how they used to make websites back in 2010. And she actually mentioned that they used to charge 1 million Kenya shillings.
So you're marketing at this time?
So I started marketing. We're selling a website for like 1 million shillings. Without smiling, eh? Some of the solutions we did, like for Coke and for like not Old Mutual, it was Coke and KQ and 3 million. Like without smiling.
And this is
we were the only
websites.
We were the only people in Kenya
who could do websites.
Who could do websites. Honestly, we were the only ones who could do websites, like serious websites, like e-commerce solutions, and portals and things like that. So that's what I sold.
A simple website. And I actually understood, because by then coding seemed very complex. So you quoting 1 million for a simple e-commerce website. Actually, even e-commerce wasn't a big thing then, especially in Kenya. A basic website, I felt that, and I actually resonated with that, because that is why you can see a lot of brands which had their website created then, they still think that old version website, which wasn't even optimized for SEO, still works today. That is why when you do an outreach to such a brand, they are still going to mention that you have this website, it's still working. Why should we even need your services? Yeah. So that's basically it. That said, so what are some of the factors now that we've done with the demand and the supply thing? What are some of the factors that influence the demand or the salary for a web developer or a software engineer? One of the things that actually defines the salary for a software engineer. I know most people are going to disagree with this one, but as I said, resonating from an entry-level developer perspective. One of the things that I think that actually determines whether there's demand for, or you're going to get a higher salary, is what you're focusing on. Are you a full stack? Are you a front end, or are you a back end? And I'm saying this because most people love focusing on the front end. Because that was the story back then, because people used to hear that backend is hard. I don't know, you have to there's a large variety of languages that you have to run for you to call yourself a backend developer. But again, when you come to the front end, all you need to know is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Then with the little frameworks that are related to JavaScript, you're good in front end. So most people used to go for the front end. And with time, the front end became so much saturated. That is why on Twitter you can hear people make jokes such as when you're in CBD and then throw a stone, you're probably going to hit a React developer. I've actually heard of such stories, and I actually saw another joke on man developers, and I actually made a comment on that one, and I asked my main The comment was, or my main concern was, what do you people want us to study? If you go to man, you're still making such nasty comments. And so I really believe that this what you're going to focus on. Are you going to focus on the front end, back end, full stack? I believe full stack has a lot of demand. Is high on demand, sorry. Mainly because most startups love someone who is all-rounded, or most Kenyan companies are going to go for someone who is all-rounded rather than someone who is, for example, focusing on front end and then they are going to look for another person to go on back end. They know that if they look for a front end and a back end developer, you're going possibly to ask for money for higher salary. This person is going to ask for higher salary, and then by combining those two things, they're going to get someone who is at a higher salary but a lower salary compared to them hiring two different people. So I believe like what you're going to focus on is actually matters. For example, right now there's a lot of saturation in React. Actually, React right now is very competitive. Post a job on React, you have like 1,000 people apply because a lot of people believe that they know React. So that is one factor. Another factor is experience level. For example, me as an entry level developer, I'm possibly not going to get the same chance for a job that is looking for a senior developer. So experience is actually one of the bigger factors, and it's actually one of the hardest factor to consider. Like, how do you know that you are a senior developer? How do I know that I'm not an entry level developer? I'm an intermediate developer. So experience is another factor, and experience is one of the hardest factor to you determine. That is why even right now when I see a job that is talking about an intermediate developer, I'm still going to apply. I don't want to disqualify myself. I can't disqualify myself. So apart from experience, again, there is other factors that determine, such as in the industry that you are in. For example, people who are in fintech right now in Kenya, I believe they're making good money because fintech has a lot of demand right now in Kenya because of we have a lot of fintech apps. We have Paid, we have is Pesapal still operating? I don't know. We have M-Pesa, we have, and even banks themselves are coming up with financial solutions. Financial solutions. I don't know. Maybe you're going to make a joke out of this, but so financial solutions. So banks are also adapting those they're also making their own apps that are offering such solutions, and in the process they need guys in the fintech. So fintech is actually one of the most lucrative um, um, specialization right now. Yeah, that is one of the most lucrative right now. Fintech. I don't know whether I have another one. E-commerce, I'm not really sure. E-commerce was a big thing when Akina, in the likes of Masoko. We have this one. These are the e-commerce sites. I keep forgetting these sites. These websites were, what do we call it? I've forgotten, but it was a B2B. There's Market Force. Apart from Market Force, there was Kapu. There's this other one. I'm forgetting actually, and I think it's still running right now. So e-commerce is also a big thing. Was a big thing. I don't know whether still now it has such demand as it was back in 2017. Yeah. Yeah. So another factor that determines whether or influences the ratings that you're going to get for your salary is the skills or the technologies that you're focusing on. As much as I was ranting about that joke about the man developers, like when you throw a stone, you're probably going to hit a man developer. There is a lot of man developers right now, so you have to keep running a new skill, or you call your, or you refer to yourself as a man developer. Be really good at that skill. A man developer is basically a JS developer, maybe read with Mongo and SQL and things. So if you're going to focus on JavaScript, be a really good developer in JavaScript, so that despite you saying that you're a man developer, you are so good in JavaScript that the so-called man developers, the others, can't compete with you. Another thing is, despite people talking about, I'm one of those people who really love talking about C, because I'm also still learning C. I believe that C and C sharp and what do we call them? These low-level languages, they're really good for you, because yes, they are not. For example, C sharp. I saw this post of a certain lady who is actually was actually studying. I actually believe that she's an entry-level developer, and right now she was hired for a C sharp job, but remotely by a company, and she's making good money. Because as far as many developers are coming up, most developers want to focus on the high-level languages, the likes of Python. And I'm not saying Python is easy. I'm not saying Python is easy in any way. I know Python has its own story, because yes, it's easy to run, but again, it's so deep. Because yes, you're going to learn Python. It's beginner friendly, but again, you're going to do a lot of machine learning. Like there's a lot of deepness. It's like a river that is not making noise. It's fucking deep. It's very deep. And then we have the other languages that are making a lot of noise up here, but again, they're not very much deep. All the same, the kind of skills that you're focusing on, the technologies that you're focusing on really matters. I still believe that it's good to focus on language that, a language that, if you're passionate about it, a language that is not, like it is not being rushed upon. For example, you'll see a lot of people who start running code and then they directly hop into React, instead of maybe starting from C and then understanding like how basically the whole thing works. And then by the time you move into JavaScript and then maybe to other frameworks, you still have the basic understanding or the foundation upon which your house will be built on. So the skills that you focus on really matters. For example, right now, I believe that Python developers are in really good demand because of all this AI hype. There's a lot of AI companies, and with such a thing, there's a lot of demand for AI developers and web scrappers who mostly are using Python. So Python right now is in good demand. So that is a skill that is going, and being in good demand, it means that you're going to be paid well. So the kind of skills that you're focusing on also determines your salary. So that said, how are the salaries right now? So I'm probably going to share some screenshots right here, but just to share an overview, I have several screenshots from Reddit, from people's confession on how much they are making as software engineers, and you're actually going to be surprised by how much money people are making out here, because it's actually really good money, and yeah, it's actually really good money. So I want to share some of the stories that I've come across. So I've seen a guy who is working for Fang. So Fang, I believe, are these companies, the top companies in the US, the kinds of Facebook, Amazon, yeah, Google. I believe those are the Fangs. Eh? So this guy says that he's earning 450,000 in shillings, and that is not small money. Yeah, 450 is not small money. But before we go to the kinds of devs who are earning a lot, I want to first of all show you like developers who are confessing how much was their first salary as software engineers. And it's actually funny because most people don't start up. So I don't want to hype you up with the kind of salary of 400,000 and 450,000. I just want to start you raw. So there's this guy called Philosopher. The first salary for him was 30K, and then it moved to 50K, and then to 70, and then to 120, and then to 200, and then to 400. So, and that span, we are looking about 6 years of experience. So that is a senior software engineer. We have some other guy who is saying that the first salary for them was 40K gross. Then they moved to 200. I don't know how fast they skipped from 40 to 200 and then to 600. So working and then we have another guy here whose first salary was 60K and then 90K and then 500. So there's a lot of information online. I don't want to so much because this is information again that you can easily get. I don't want to waste your time with the information that you can easily get on the Reddit. So the thing is, if you're working for a local company, you're not going to start with a higher salary. That is a fact. I said in one of my earlier videos that a project that I was paid $300 to work within a week or two. If I was doing the same project for a Kenyan company, I would have probably been paid 10K. Yeah? So because there's difference in value and there's also difference in like what that money like the kind of services or how much they are charged on the end in their countries. So if you're going to work for a Kenyan company, you're probably not going to start with a lot of money. I know of people who started with 30K as their first salary. And then they moved up, which is one of the points that I have here. We're going to talk about it. And yeah, so basically, if you are an entry-level developer, you're probably going to start with less than 100,000. Yeah? You're going to start at less than 100,000. Most probably less, around 50K. Then you can rise up. So that said, and I believe by the time you're a senior developer, there are people who are making 600. I've heard of this guy called Aranjuma who said that he's earning between. He's working for a US company though. I heard him say that he's making a cool million shares, which is good money again. So that said, let us focus on how maybe how can you negotiate your salary. And I believe I'm not the right person to say this, because I've never negotiated for a salary in a local company. But I have from a freelance perspective, because I work as a freelancer. So the points that I'm going to make here, I'm making them from the perspective of as a freelancer. So the first thing that you can negotiate for your salary, as I said in my past videos, and you should probably check that video so that I don't repeat myself too much. So one of the points is compare the value that you are giving to them and compare your pricing to other people's pricing. So this is what I mostly do. I say my value and then give the client my hourly rating and then give them a flat fee. So, for example, if I charge $20 per hour, depending on the platform that we've met with the client, I'm going to, well, how I've pitched them. I'm going to tell them I can probably take 100 hours working on this project, and I'm going to charge you an hourly rate of 100 hours at an hourly rate of maybe $20 per hour. That is $2,000. But I'm going to give you a flat fee, which is much cheaper for you. Yeah? And then I give them a flat fee that is cheaper. If, for example, in that project, I said that I gave them an hourly rate, and then the hours came to 10 and charging. The hours came to I think 10. So basically, the hourly rate came to $500, and then I gave them a flat fee of the $300. So that is one of the tricks that I do. Another thing is ask for a salary that matches the company. If, for example, you're going to work for Safaricom. Safaricom is a big brand, so you're going to charge them higher or ask for a higher salary compared to another company that is not known or that is not generating a lot of revenue. Yeah? So those are some of the basic tips. Another thing is depending on the work that you're going to do. Yeah? So that actually this should be the first point. If the work you're going to do is hefty, charge according to the work that you're going to do. And from a freelancer's perspective, always ask for deposit. Don't start any work without a deposit, unless this is your friend. But again, you should also make a deposit. So that said, so that is how you're supposed to negotiate for a salary as a freelancer, and maybe as in a local company. And so I believe that the demand for software engineers, especially entry level, the likes of us, is going to slow down. And hear me out before you start stoning me up. It's going to slow down because most of the projects that I was getting, some were from senior developers who want me to handle a menial task for them as they handle the bigger task. So what are these senior developers now going to do? They are going to take this task, give it to an AI, and then customize a little bit later. So the demand for entry-level developers is a little bit going to slow over time. But again, as you upskill, you're probably going to reach a level where your skills are more valuable. So you don't need to work under someone. And that is one of the reasons why I'm always encouraging budding developers who want to run something right now, focus on learning another skill that can complement them as they learn this other skill. The likes of web designing, maybe using CMSs. So that said, we've come to the end of this rant.